Week 5 of the NFL season has concluded, and things are getting a little bit congested in the AFC North. Only 3 teams in the AFC North played last week as a result of Cleveland being on their bye week. So we're going to be starting with the winner of a battle for the division lead in the AFC North, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers, improving to 3-2 overall and 2-0 in the division. Somehow, someway, the Pittsburgh Steelers once again find themselves on top of the division. Them and Baltimore have been playing hot potato with the division lead for the past couple of weeks now. They won 17-10 at home against the Ravens, but that 17-10 is a pretty normal final score, but it was one of the oddest ways I've seen to get there. There has to be some kind of Twilight Zone effect in Pittsburgh for AFC North teams, where this was the second game that I remember watching where Pittsburgh's offense was essentially non-existent for most of the entire game. And Steelers fans, they knew it all too well. We had even more Fire Canada chants. I guess there's some good news, bad news there in that the good news is you won the game anyway. Bad news is if you keep winning, Matt Canada's not going anywhere. But when you have the kind of defense that the Steelers do, and when all the Baltimore wide receivers decide that they have bricks for hands, that's going to keep you in a lot of games. And the Steelers defense, they definitely made plays. It definitely wasn't all on the Ravens just dropping passes as to why the Steelers were able to hold the Ravens to so few points. You had the interception on the 3rd and goal when the Ravens seemed all but poised to just put the game on ice. You had the blocked punt that resulted in a safety, the second quarter forced fumble. All of those plays turning momentum on its head in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers and that defense being game records. You have TJ Watt being a force of nature, although nothing new there. We already knew that heading into this week, heading into this season, heading into all of time essentially. And for all of the issues that the offense has with Pittsburgh, there is one glimmer of real hope, and that is George Pickens. Now, Jaylen Warren definitely has shown nice flashes too. There was basically a field goal drive that was all Jeff Warren yards, but right now he's kind of stuck in a role where I don't feel like he gets too many chances to showcase himself, and that is something that might be Matt Canada related as well. But when you have George Pickens, he caught that game-winning touchdown, and when that connection with Kenny Pickett that he has, when that's clicking, that can sort of mask the myriad of issues that the Pittsburgh offense faces, at least for a game-winning drive, and that's they got as just enough points that they needed. I don't really think that there's a high ceiling with this team, with this Pittsburgh Steelers team, as long as Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator, and that's not going to change if they keep winning. But I do think that their floor is very highly elevated by their defense and by Mike Tomlin being that presence as the head coach. So the Steelers, again, one of those games where I'm not sure how replicable this is, but I said that about the Browns game, and they found another way to win in a sort of similar fashion where the offense stalls for pretty much all of the entire game, but the defense just makes enough plays to where the offense eventually just has to kick in at some point. So the Steelers, they're heading into their bye week, then they go on the road to face the Rams. So then you go to the flip side of that game with the Ravens falling to 3-2 overall, 2-1 in the division. They really had a great chance to break away from the pack in the division against the Steelers. They would have been 4-1 with a win, and the rest of the AFC North would be either 500 or below. Instead, you have, like I mentioned earlier, the receivers just dropping every single impact pass. It seemed like something that they could have, whenever they could have put the game away, the receivers just found a way to drop a pass. You have Baltimore making some bad mistakes on top of just facing a pretty good Steeler defense that was going to limit the offensive output anyway. But when you keep making mistakes like the turnovers and the drops, that definitely doesn't work out for your favor. And then it does seem like you have the game headed to you on that fumbled punt return where you get the ball back deep in Steeler territory with the lead. Instead, that ends up as the interception. You also had a bit of a baffling decision to go for it on a 4th and 2 very late in the first half in field goal range with the best kicker in the NFL and Justin Tucker at your disposal. No idea why you don't just kick the field goal and go up by even more points. The Ravens defense did hold the Steelers offense in check for most of the game, which I don't think is very hard to do, but I'll still commend a defense if they put up a good performance no matter who it's against. But when you give up as many chances as the Baltimore Ravens did, that defense is bound to give up something at some point in the game. I mean, you got to give your wide receivers like some stickum or something, or just juice those gloves up a bit. I don't know if we had to put the wide receivers on the jugs machine like for hours after practice this week. I mean, you have Lamar Jackson in postgame saying that you expect your receivers to be able to catch their passes. I get maybe 1 or 2 drops, but I believe the number was 9. Like Ferris Bueller, 9 times you dropped 9 passes. A lot of those drops were just momentum killers. Can't have that kind of stuff if you really want to assert your dominance over the division. Definitely a very winnable game. I think the argument could be made that the Baltimore Ravens still have the best outlook for the division, but right now, as things stand after week 5, they are second on the total poll right now. Their next game is in London next Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. Technically, that counts as an away game, so I guess they kind of lucked out there. And then you move to third in the division. The Cleveland Browns, 2-2 overall, 1-2 in the division. Coming off of their bye week, there seems to be even more drama brewing about Deshaun Watson's injury, where Deshaun Watson on Monday, he didn't really participate much in outdoor practice. He was just inside, still trying to rehab his arm. I believe it's a rotator cuff contusion is what it officially is. The thought heading into the bye week was that Deshaun would definitely be ready for the next game, but that is up in the air, it seems like, as well. And there are already reports that the Browns have deemed P.J. Walker as the starting quarterback if Deshaun Watson can't go. And the Browns are already dealing with kind of a good news, bad news situation heading into the bye week, where the good news was that you figured you would get a little bit more healthy. You had, Myles Garrett, Ethan Posick day-to-day with some injuries. I saw that heading into the week that Joel Bitonio was seen on crutches. I haven't looked too much into that. And then you have the bad news where the Browns have to play the 49ers this Sunday. But even the good news of but at least they're going to be getting healthy. The healthy might not be getting after all. That might not be happening. Even if a magic wand was waved and Deshaun Watson was starting and he was fully healthy and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about his injuries, they're still playing the 49ers, who have been absolutely destroying teams this season. They certainly look like the best team in the NFL, at least at this point in the season. So even if you put a fully healthy Deshaun Watson in with the offense, you'll have a hard time talking me into the Browns having much of a chance of beating the 49ers on Sunday. I mean, maybe giving Deshaun Watson another week of rest might be the best long-term plan, although that would be pretty much punting on the already small chance of winning. You're basically just saying, yeah, we're going to be looking for the week after and beyond for the season. So either way, it looks like it might be getting a little bit worse before it has a chance to get better for Cleveland. And then ending off with the still in the basement Cincinnati Bengals, although they are climbing the steps of the basement trying to get out. 2-3 overall, still 0-2 in the division. They win on the road against the Cardinals 34-20 in a game that had kind of a must-win feel to it, something that I think I would have been crazy to say headed into the season. We're like, yeah, this game against the Cardinals for the Bengals is going to be huge. But we've gotten to the point where the season where the Bengals 1-3. If you lose to the Cardinals, you're 1-4, and also coming off just a loss against the team that is viewed as one of the lower tier teams in the NFL. Definitely would have almost killed their season. But maybe Jamar Chase was right. Maybe he is just always open. Definitely the best Joe Burrow has looked all season. Him and Jamar Chase were. They dotted up the Cardinals defense pretty much at will. They did give up 14 straight to the Cardinals in the second quarter. That was a bit concerning, but the defense did make up for it with a pick six before the end of the first half. They opened the third quarter with Joe Burrow dropping a bomb to Jamar Chase for a touchdown. But give credit to the Cardinals, they didn't go away. Bengals did have to stop a really important 4th and 1 when the Cardinals were driving just down 4. They were getting to the red zone a little bit. But after that 4th and 1 stop, Jamar Chase getting his third touchdown. Game was pretty much over at that point. I'm not quite sure if that win over Arizona was enough for me to declare that the Bengals are back or anything, but this win definitely kept themselves alive in the season with that victory. I mean, and usually I would be a little bit worried if the Bengals were having a bit more of a season similar to how we anticipated. I might be a little bit worried about the Cardinals getting back into it multiple times after there were certainly some chances for the Bengals to really put their foot on the gas and break away from the Cardinals. They just didn't do it until much later in the game. But at this point, with the Bengals being where they were, they just kind of needed to get a win however they could, and their next game is at home against the Seahawks. So that's going to be doing it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did make it this far into it, you can leave a comment what you thought about the AFC North action down in the comments below. Leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more like it, and I'll see you at the next one.